Story 13 of The Bet and Other Stories by Anton Chekhov. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Story 13, Old Age. State Councilor Uzikov, architect, arrived in his native town, where he had been summoned to restore the cemetery church. He was born in the town, he had grown up and been married there, and yet when he got out of the train he hardly recognized it. Everything was changed. For instance, 18 years ago, when he left the town to settle in Petersburg, where the railway station is now, boys used to hunt for marmots. Now, as you come into the High Street, there is a 4-storied Hotel Vienna with apartments, where there was of old an ugly gray fence. But not the fence or the houses or anything had changed so much as the people. Questioning the hall porter, Uzikov discovered that more than half of the people he remembered were dead or paupers or forgotten. "Do you remember Uzikov?" he asked the porter. "Uzikov, the architect, who divorced his wife. He had a house in Shrivbev Street. Surely you remember?" "No, I don't remember anyone of the name." "Why, it's impossible not to remember. It was an exciting case. All the cabmen knew, even. Try to remember. His divorce was managed by the attorney Shapkin, the swindler, the notorious sharper, the man who was thrashed at the You mean Ivan Nikolaevich?" "Yes. Is he alive? Dead?" "Thank heaven, his honour's alive. His honour's a notary now, with an office. Well-to-do. 2 houses in Kirpichny Street. Just lately married his daughter off." Uzikov strode from one corner of the room to another. An idea flashed into his mind. From boredom he decided to see Shapkin. It was afternoon when he left the hotel and quietly walked to Kirpichny Street. He found Shapkin in his office and hardly recognized him. From the well-built, alert attorney with a quick, impudent, perpetually tipsy expression, Shapkin had become a modest, grey-haired, shrunken old man. "You don't recognize me. You have forgotten," Uzikov began. "I'm your old client Uzikov." "Uzikov? Which Uzikov? Ah!" Remembrance came to Shapkin. He recognized him and was confused. Began exclamations, questions, recollections. "Never expected, never thought," chuckled Shapkin. "What will you have? Would you like champagne? Perhaps you'd like oysters? My dear man, what a lot of money I got out of you in the old days! So much that I can't think what I ought to stand you." "Please don't trouble," said Uzikov. "I haven't time. I must go to the cemetery and examine the church. I have a commission." "Splendid! We'll have something to eat and a drink and go together. I've got some splendid horses. I'll take you there and introduce you to the churchwarden. I'll fix up everything. But what's the matter, my dearest man? You're not avoiding me? Not afraid? Please sit nearer. There's nothing to be afraid of now. Long ago I really was pretty sharp, a bit of a rogue, but now I'm quieter than water, humbler than grass. I've grown old, got a family. There are children. Time to die." The friends had something to eat and drink, and went in a coach and pair to the cemetery. "Yes, it was a good time," Shapkin was reminiscent, sitting in the sledge. "I remember, but I simply can't believe it. Do you remember how you divorced your wife? It's almost 20 years ago, and you've probably forgotten everything, but I remember it as though I conducted the petition yesterday. My God, how rotten I was! Then I was a smart, casuistical devil, full of sharp practice and devilry, and I used to run into some pretty shady affairs, particularly when there was a good fee, as in your case, for instance. What was it you paid me then? 500, 600? Enough to upset anybody. By the time you left for Petersburg, you'd left the whole affair completely in my hands. Do what you like. And your former wife, Sophia Mikhailovna, though she did come from a merchant family, was proud and selfish. To bribe her to take the guilt on herself was difficult, extremely difficult. I used to come to her for a business talk, and when she saw me she would say to her maid, 'Masha, surely I told you I wasn't at home to scoundrels.' I tried one way and then another, wrote letters to her, tried to meet her accidentally. No good. I had to work through a third person. For a long time I had trouble with her, and she only yielded when you agreed to give her 10,000. She could not stand out against 10,000. She succumbed. She began to weep, spat in my face, but she yielded and took the guilt on herself. If I remember, it was 15, not 10,000 she took from me," said Usielkov. Yes, of course, 15, my mistake." Shapkin was disconcerted. "Anyway, it's all past and done with now. Why shouldn't I confess frankly? 10 I gave to her, and the remaining 5 I bargained out of you for my own share. I deceived both of you. It's all past, why be ashamed of it? And who else was there to take from, Boris Pietrovich, if not from you? I ask you, you were rich and well-to-do, you married in caprice, you were divorced in caprice. You were making a fortune. I remember you got 20,000 out of a single contract. Whom was I to tap, if not you? And I must confess I was tortured by envy. If you got hold of a nice lot of money, people would take off their hats to you, but the same people would beat me for shillings and smack my face in the club. But why recall it? It's time to forget. Tell me, please, how did Sophia Mikhailovna live afterwards? With her 10,000? On ne peut plus badly. God knows whether it was frenzy or pride and conscience that tortured her, because she had sold herself for money, or perhaps she loved you, but she took to drink, you know. She received the money and began to gad about with officers and troikas, drunkenness, philandering, debauchery. She would come into a tavern with an officer, and instead of port or a light wine, she would drink the strongest cognac to drive her into a frenzy. Yes, she was eccentric. I suffered enough with her. She would take offence at some trifle and then get nervous. And what happened afterwards? Well, a week passed, a fortnight. I was sitting at home, writing. Suddenly the door opened and she comes in. "Take your cursed money," she said, and threw the parcel in my face. She could not resist it. 500 were missing. She had only got rid of 500. "And what did you do with the money?" "It's all past and done with. What's the good of concealing it? I certainly took it. What are you staring at me like that for? Wait for the sequel. It's a complete novel, the sickness of a soul. 2 months passed by. One night I came home drunk, in a wicked mood. I turned on the light and saw Sophia Mikhailovna sitting on my sofa, drunk too, wandering a bit, with something savage in her face, as if she had just escaped from the madhouse. 'Give me my money back,' she said. 'I've changed my mind. If I'm going to the dogs, I want to go madly, passionately. Make haste, you scoundrel, give me the money. How indecent it was!' 'And you? Did you give it her?' 'I remember I gave her 10 roubles.' 'Oh, is it possible?' Usielkov frowned. 'If you couldn't do it yourself, or you didn't want to, you could have written to me. And I didn't know. I didn't know.' 'My dear man, why should I write when she wrote herself afterwards, when she was in hospital? I was so taken up with the new marriage that I paid no attention to letters. But you were an outsider. You had no antagonism to Sophia Mikhailovna. Why didn't you help her?' 'We can't judge by our present standards, Boris Pietrovich. Now we think in this way, but then we thought quite differently. Now I might perhaps give her 1,000 roubles, but then even 10 roubles she didn't get them for nothing. It's a terrible story. It's time to forget. But here you are.' The sledge stopped at the churchyard gate. Usielkov and Shapkin got out of the sledge, went through the gate and walked along a long, broad avenue. The bare cherry trees, the acacias, the grey crosses and monuments sparkled with hoar frost. In each flake of snow the bright sunny day was reflected. There was the smell you find in all cemeteries of incense and fresh dug earth. "You have a beautiful cemetery," said Usielkov. "It's almost an orchard." "Yes, but it's a pity the thieves steal the monuments. Look there, behind that cast-iron memorial on the right. Sophia Mikhailovna is buried. Would you like to see?" The friends turned to the right, stepping in deep snow towards the cast-iron memorial. "Down here," said Shapkin, pointing to a little stone of white marble, "some subaltern or other put up the monument on her grave." Usielkov slowly took off his hat and showed his bald pate to the snow. Eyeing him, Shapkin also took off his hat, and another baldness shone beneath the sun. The silence round about was like the tomb, as though the air were dead too. The friends looked at the stone, silent, thinking. "She is asleep," Shapkin broke the silence, "and she cares very little that she took the guilt upon herself and drank cognac. Confess, Boris Pietrovitch." "What?" asked Usielkov sternly. "That however loathsome the past may be, it's better than this," and Shapkin pointed to his grey hairs. "In the old days I did not even think of death. If I'd met her, I would have circumvented her, but now, well now." Sadness took hold of Usielkov. Suddenly he wanted to cry, passionately, as he once desired to love. And he felt that these tears would be exquisite, refreshing. Moisture came out of his eyes and a lump rose in his throat, but Shapkin was standing by his side, and Usielkov felt ashamed of his weakness before a witness. He turned back quickly and walked toward the church. 2 hours later, having arranged with the churchwarden and examined the church, he seized the opportunity while Shapkin was talking away to the priest, and ran to shed a tear. He walked to the stones surreptitiously, with stealthy steps, looking round all the time. The little white monument stared at him absently, so sadly and innocently, as though a girl and not a wanton divorcée were beneath. "If I could weep, thought Usielkov. But the moment for weeping had been lost. Though the old man managed to make his eyes shine and tried to bring himself to the right pitch, the tears did not flow and the lump did not rise in his throat. After waiting for about 10 minutes, Usielkov waved his arm and went to look for Shapkin. End of Story 13. End of The Bet and Other Stories by Anton Chekhov. Translated by S. S. Kotiliansky and others.